Well, yeah, so certainly I think what drew me to the company was the opportunity, or the way Chris, and the CEO, and the company in general thinks or approaches the business, in the sense that we don't try to simply do things by doing the same thing but a little better than everybody else, which is a fine business strategy. Instead, like, we sort of take a step back and think, oh, how can we do something completely different and sort of change the whole industry, or change the playing field. And so for me personally, I come from the learning and training industry. And so rather than think about how do we take corporate training that happens inside a bricks and mortar physical classroom and just do it online, we thought about, well, how do we transform how we do training online completely? And for us, that was an opportunity. For me, that was an opportunity to think big and think different. And when you think about it, the entire company was built around that same premise. So everything from why, instead of bring people to the job, why don't we bring jobs to the people? And that's the foundation on which the company was built. And at every facet or every step of the business and the operation, I think we've applied that same kind of thinking. Which, again, I had my own little sort of, that was my attraction that brought me here from the learning and the training side, but to see it sort of implemented across the entire operation. Well, obviously, you're, as an employee, all of us, and as a CCP, a customer care professional, we're all here to do a job. But if doing that job in an environment where you are empowered and you have responsibility and ownership, in other words, you have the ability to think big and think different, is it's a very different, a fundamentally different environment to work than one which you're being asked to do your job competently, but do it in this very rigid way or something like that. So I think from employees all the way from our frontline CCP, customer care professionals, through management, up into leadership, that charge and value to approach your own job and what you do in that type of ownership, responsibility, and in level at which you have the ability to do something big and do something different. Again, that's fundamentally different than I think most other businesses or most other places to work. And I think that's what attracts the very sort of high talent, highly motivated, high quality type of employee, again, from the frontline CCP all the way up through the ranks, that brings folks to Alpine Access. Think big and think different. I think today is also a matter of just preservation. I mean, I think this idea of doing the same thing but doing it better works for a while, and you can succeed that way, but it is basically, it is not a future strategy. I mean, you've got to constantly be changing, re-engineering yourself, revolutionizing yourself. Otherwise, you'll find yourself like a Blockbuster, where all of a sudden the future just passed you by. Or perhaps you'd be like a Borders, where, again, the future passes you by and you thought selling physical books was going to hold you, fine for the next 20 years, only to find, an upstart Amazon come and swoop the ground underneath your feet. So I think rather than being waited to be disrupted by somebody else, our value of thinking big and thinking different is to wake up every morning and think, how can we put ourselves out of business? How can we be the ones to revolutionize ourselves so that we become the future? In fact, there's a computer scientist named Alan Kay who said the best way to create the future is to invent it yourself. And to me, think big, think different is just doing that.